This is a demo of API session keys, a new capability of LabKey that we added to support regulatory compliant access to sensitive data using application programming interfaces. LabKey has many capabilities to support regulatory compliance and compliance with data use agreements that might have been signed with partners. Our focus has been browser-based access to this type of data. So typically patient data that must be accessed under these regulatory frameworks. Some of those features include LabKey's ability to log all the actions performed by a user and the queries executed by those users, requiring users to declare their current activity, their institutional review board number, their level of protected health information that they require for that activity, and then requiring users to accept terms of use that match those declarations. And then finally, LabKey's ability to adapt the underlying schemas based on the PHI level that was declared. So I'll just demo those, some of these capabilities quickly before we move into the API session keys. So here I've switched to LabKey itself. Of course, I need to log in first in order to access any data within the system. In this case, though, I'm switching to a folder that includes patient information, and I have configured this folder, or an administrator has configured this folder, to require that I declare my activity, my IRB number, and my PHI level in order to access this data. So I will select those, a role, an IRB number, and the level of PHI that I require for this access. That information, of course, is all logged, and then I must agree to terms of use that meet those particular declarations that I just made. I can scroll through these, accept those terms of use, and now I have access to the patient data. This, of course, is not real patient data. This is all fabricated data, but it gives you a sense for what the patient data might look like. And of course, in this environment, now that I've agreed, that I've declared my activity terms of use and accepted terms of use, I'm able to access this via my web browser without any problem. Now, the goal of this particular feature that we're demonstrating was to meet these regulatory requirements in the case of accessing this data programmatically or through the use of an application programming interface. So you can see here, so that was the goal. We want to meet all these same requirements, but in the context of a program or script that's running outside of the browser. So in this case, we have no problem logging all the actions and logging the queries that were executed. But there's a problem with being able to require declaration of current activity, to accept terms of use, and then to adapt to the underlying schema, because there's no user here. There's code running. That code doesn't particularly declare an activity or accept terms of use. So we need a way to tie the code that's running with an actual user and a user's declaration. So we do that by way of an API access token. So switching back to LabKey, I will demonstrate attempting to access this data programmatically using R. So I will export a small script that I can run in my R environment to attempt to pull this data into R. This is my R environment. I paste that information in and attempt to load this patient data into R, and I get an unsuccessful message. I'm told there's an error. I'm not authorized to view this data. That's because I have not, within the context of R, specified anything about my current session. I haven't specified anything about activity or terms of use or PHI levels. So I will go back and make use of the API session key. If I go to my user menu and click on API key, LabKey displays essentially a token that I can copy to the clipboard and paste into my development environment, into my R console. And this is the API session key. This token, it's a randomly generated token that works for just this browser session. And it essentially ties the R session with my browser session. And everything that I've agreed to within my browser session is then available to the R session. So in this case, I'll go back to R. I will execute a simple command that sets my current API key to the token that I copied from my browser. So if I now take that same code that we saw before and execute that within R, we will see that was successful. And in fact, if I look at the contents of my data frame, we'll see that all of the patient data has now been successfully transferred to R, and I can manipulate it there. So now LabKey is using the same activity, IRB, and PHI level that I had specified previously within my browser to customize its use within R.